This next choke, why can't I say that? This next choke is called the Diesel Squeezel. This choke has been around for years, but for some reason, no one knows it still. It's probably Jiu-Jitsu's best kept secret. I have only performed it in competition a handful of times. I think if I've done it more, people might catch on to its power. But I spoke about this on my podcast a few times, and ever since then, I've been getting a ton of messages from everyone who wants to know what is the Diesel Squeezel. The Diesel Squeezel was invented by a wrestler who transitioned into Jiu-Jitsu. And he created this really awesome, super strong choke. It's called the Diesel Squeezel. I'm going to show you what it is right now. The Diesel Squeezel is kind of like a guillotine choke, kind of like a loop choke. Yes, like a loop choke in the gi, but instead of using the collar, you use your own wrist and fist like this. So we're going to be grabbing our opponent's neck, and then this is the control grip to actually choke them. I reach over my own wrist, their neck goes here like this, and I'm going to be able to choke them with the grip. I'm going to show you in a second. It's actually this way, sorry. It's like this. If their neck is here, I'm reaching over the top of my wrist, using this fist into their neck, and that's what makes the choke so strong. Instead of trying to lift up into the front of their neck like a guillotine, this choke redirects that guillotine pressure into their side of their neck. So because I have my hand on my own wrist, when I do the guillotine movement, my fist goes up into the side of their neck. So you have the guillotine effect as well as that blood effect on the sides, which makes this choke super tight. And then we add some torsion effect where I start rolling into it a little bit. So I'm really spinning through, and you can create a lot of pressure with that fist going into their neck, and then the other side gets cut off by your forearm. It's nasty, and it's super strong and really good for longer individuals like myself who have a problem hitting guillotine chokes. Sometimes having long arms, it's like there's too much space. People are just swimming in your arms, and you can't really secure those positions. So I like this one. But the person who made this choke, I forgot his name. I think he was a brown belt at the time. I'll remember it later, I'm sure. But he's a shorter guy, and so he was really good at guillotines and adapted it to this movement. So it works for tall people and short people. It's super effective. So the basic movement, go ahead and go on your hands and knees. Come on this side, actually, so I can see what I'm doing with my turn more. There we go. So anytime you get a front headlock position, here, where his head is underneath your chest and you're trying to grab for some sort of choking maneuver, that's an opportunity to go for the Diesel Squeezel. So a normal guillotine, I would just be bringing my arm around his neck like this, trying to connect my hands either with my wrist going over the top of his back or trying to pull into a position where my leg goes over the top of his back to get this downward pressure to finish the choke. And it can be difficult because it requires a strong squeeze with your arms, and you really have to be able to hang onto someone's neck and their head. And a lot of times people can just escape the position. But with the Diesel Squeezel, it locks the position in an entirely different way where you don't have to get underneath them to get leverage. So I bring my hand through like this, but instead of trying to connect my hands here, I do the inverse of that where I connect here. So here's where the fist comes in. It goes right into the side of his neck. So I'm reaching through, connecting my wrists here. So the choking arm, the arm that goes underneath, is the one grabbing the secondary arm, which is also choking him, but I'm using my knuckles in his neck here like this. So if you sit up so that people can see, I'm going to be here like this. Fist goes into his neck, and then I'm going to have his head completely underneath my armpit, just like a guillotine choke. And this pressure right here into the carotid artery is what's going to choke him. So to actually finish, it's kind of unique because this movement counters the defense for a normal guillotine. So if I do a normal guillotine on Billy and he passes to this side, as I pull, I'm screwed. I can't finish the guillotine here. So if I try and put leverage with my hips and lift, he's just going to walk his arm up to my shoulder, put shoulder pressure, and wreck me. So the Diesel Squeezel, I believe, was created to counter that counter. And you don't have to worry about which way he passes to, because if he passes to the wrong side, it's going to choke him. If he passes to the right side, it's still going to choke him. So as he passes, I'm actually encouraging the pass. So you can pull Diesel Squeezel to close guard if you want, but you can also play it like a butterfly guard as you pull in underneath so he can just pass to one side or the other. And you want that because that's what makes the choke super strong. So here, I'm connecting. I try and get this arm pretty deep under his neck, but I only get it deep so I can secure my grip safely. Because right now my fist is on the back of his neck, I'm not going to be able to choke him. But if I do it too low and I try and connect here, he's going to immediately put his hands into the equation and start hand fighting me, pulling my hands off and making it difficult for me to secure the position. So getting a deeper grip and locking the Squeezel up here, then I can shift it and bring my fist back down into his neck after I've secured the grip safely and he doesn't have a chance to defend. Okay? Once I get my grip secured, I'm bringing my wrist down and underneath. So now the choking part is here, and the wrist is on the other side of his neck, and I'm just bringing it underneath and squeezing. I'm going to make you sit up and down a million times. Once I have that grip secure, I'm holding tight. My fist is in the right side of his neck. Now from here, I can just start squeezing and choking. Chances are he's going to start trying to drive into me to pass to the side that he thinks is safe, right here. And so we're going to have to rotate so they can see your grimace here. Lift your left arm, Billy, so people can see your neck here. So look, my bottom hand is on his neck. Can you see that, Joe?
Rotate slightly.
Like this?
Yeah.
So my bottom hand, fist, is on the front of his neck. My top hand is reaching over the top of that wrist, and I maintained that grip the whole time. Now look what happens as he continues to pass. I roll this way, here. See how all that pressure that goes onto his neck? And you actually roll him all the way over. If he hasn't been choked yet, now I go chest to chest and use my chest pressure onto my wrist to drive down into his neck. And so the final finishing position is from top, driving in and down and lifting his head up. So it's complicated. There's a lot of movements involved, but when you get good at that lock, you'll find you really are secured on the person's head, and they don't have an option to really spin out of it in any way. And if they pass to one side or the other, that's good for you because that's part of the movement because it's so easy to roll someone over with the Diesel Squeezel. Of course, you can finish it with all the traditional guillotine styles, sitting guard, throwing the leg over, but the real power comes because they think they can escape and you can let them try and do that. And it functions under the same principles as like a baseball bat choke. You get your grips, you allow them to pass because it makes it tighter, and then you finish them. So the plus side, though, is that if I get baseball bat grips for baseball bat choke, if they know that, they're not going to pass. They're just going to break the grips because they know it's a trap. It's like telegraphed. With this one, if they do nothing, they still get choked. They don't have to pass your guard to get choked. It just makes it stronger, but you can still finish it just from standing. You can even sort of gator roll into it. Like if we're in a standing position, maybe like he shoots on me, and I get his head here like this. I'll lock up the Squeezel grip, and I'll just drop to my left. I'll do it slow here so we don't kill anyone, but I'll drop to my left and pull myself underneath him. And then all the pressure comes right on his neck, and then I bring him over. Now, if you're seeing him roll easily, that's because there's a lot of pressure choking him already. The body will naturally feel that they only have one option to escape, which is to roll all the way through to relieve pressure. You're expecting that, you come on top anyways, and then they have nowhere left to go. You just pressure right into it. So I use this one a lot from standing, much more than I use guillotines or darces or anything else, because I find it's so easy to catch the head, but they don't feel super threatened because my left hand isn't trying to reach to connect. If I try and reach to connect for guillotine, I can't finish it here. He has a lot of opportunities to lift me, to take me down still. I might not finish. But with the Squeezel, I'm a little lower, I'm more secure, and you'll feel that your bicep hooks right onto the occipital ridge is what this is called, this little nodule on the back of your head. Your bicep hooks onto that, your wrist is underneath his chin, and then your fingers, your front knuckles here, hook underneath his jaw. They slide right up underneath his jawline, so it's very difficult for him to pull his head out. There's no slipping out of this one like a normal guillotine. How many times have people slipped out of your guillotines, right? No one slips out of the Squeezel. Once you get it, it's done. So yes, I can pull guard and just try and choke like a normal guillotine. Boom. The pressure's there. Chances are he's going to choose one side to roll to anyways. Boom, pressure's still here, right? He just tapped. To relieve the pressure, he has to jump over me, which I can also continue chasing him. And then as I come up on top, my left arm is just punching right into his neck. Right into his neck, like, just mushing his neck into oblivion. So that is the infamous Diesel Squeezel choke, which is one of the best chokes, no-gi, that no one knows and no one ever does. But they will now, hopefully.